If you've been into cars as long as I have, chances are the Subaru WRX holds a special place in your enthusiast memory bank. Maybe it was the rally wins, the blue paint and gold wheels, or that first time you saw a bug-eyed Impreza launch off the line like it means business. For me, it goes back to the early days before the WRX was even in the US. I remember drooling over the gray market imports, forums full of speculation, and finally, in the early 2000s, Subaru brought the WRX stateside. Since then, I've driven about every iteration of this car, from the raw rally-based models to the more refined models, and even the WRX TR, which I reviewed last year, which was very sporty focused. And now we have this, the 2025 WRX TS, the STI-tuned, Brembo equipped, and dialed in with electronically adjustable suspension, yet it still includes comforts and tech that make it livable day to day. So after 20 years of WRX evolution, is this the best one yet? I'm Adam, this is TexasGarage. Let's dive into it. All right, before we jump into this one specifically, let's quickly touch on the different trims offered with the WRX. First, you have the WRX Premium, you have the WRX Limited, and the WRX TS, which is what we have here. And finally, top of the line is the WRX GT. The TX is more of the sports focused, the GT is more comfort focused, but this is more comfort focused than the one that we drove last year. So we're gonna dive into all of that and what makes this different, but first, let's talk about the exterior. At first glance, the 2025 WRX TS doesn't stray far from the familiar styling we've seen since this generation debuted in 2022. You still get the wide fenders, aggressive nose, and black cladding that sparked plenty of opinions when it first dropped, but spend a little time with it, and especially with this World Rally blue pearl paint, and the TS starts to feel more like a true evolution of the WRX tradition. What sets the TS apart isn't a full body redesign, it's the details. Around the back, another TS emblem on the trunk lid reinforces that identity. And like the STI models of old, this one rides on stained gray 19-inch wheels, which will fill out the fenders better than the 17s or 18s on lower trims. Wrapped in 245/35 summer performance tires, they don't just look the part, they help this car stick to the road. Of course, no WRX would be complete without some rally-inspired flair. While the TS doesn't come with the giant STI wing of the past, it still delivers that functional low center of gravity aesthetic. Notably, there's no moonroof here. By design, Subaru ditched it to reduce weight and lower the center of gravity. Another nod to performance purists who'd rather have handling than headroom. So no, it's not radically different from other WRX models, but the TS quietly signals its intent. It's still the WRX we know, just sharpened, dialed in, and ready for business. Despite its performance heritage, the WRX is still a four-door sedan, and that means it needs to pull double duty as a daily driver. Fortunately, Subaru kept that in mind. Open up the trunk and you get a solid 12.5 cubic feet of cargo space. That's plenty for a week's worth of groceries, gym bags, or like in my case, a couple of folding chairs for soccer games, backpack, camera gear, without breaking a sweat. The rear seats also fold down in a 60-40 split, so if you need to haul longer items, tripods, gear bags, or even a short snowboard, you've got options. No, it's not a hatchback like the old WRX wagons, but the sedan form still carries its weight and practicality. Of course, I would love to see the hatchback come back, but that's probably not in the cards. Let's check out what's under the hood. Pop the hood and you're greeted by the WRX's beating heart, a 2.4-liter turbocharged boxer engine. It's the same engine found across the WRX lineup, delivering 271 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. Power goes exclusively to all four wheels via Subaru's symmetrical all-wheel drive system, and in the TS trim, You get it paired only with a 6-speed manual transmission. No changes to output over the base WRX here, but it's not about more power. It's about how the TS makes use of what power it has. Paired with the electronically adjustable STI-tuned suspension, this engine feels more alive, more controllable, and more rewarding than ever. Turbo lag is barely noticeable, throttle response is sharp, and the whole setup feels cohesive. Like Subaru finally tuned the chassis and powertrain to speak the same language. This isn't just about going fast in a straight line, it's about feeling connected every time you leave a stoplight or drive into a corner. And that's what we love about this thing. Step inside the WRX TS and the performance intent is clear. But that doesn't mean that Subaru skimped on comfort or features. Front and center are the Recaro performance design front seats, finished with blue stitching and TS spec accents. They look the part and do a great job of keeping you planted in spirited driving. That said, they're not exactly lounge chairs. At 6'1", and a bit of a bigger guy, I found them a bit snug, not uncomfortable, but definitely a reminder that this is a sports sedan, not a grand tour. Let me give you a closer look around. All right, first things first, let's kick it on. We got a big red start button, foot on the clutch, and kick it on. You can see that standard tall infotainment system. I like the aspect ratio. Everything's pretty easy to find. It's not the best looking infotainment system, but it is usable. You do have wireless Apple CarPlay. You also have USB Type-C and A connectivity, mainly for charging, but you can wirelessly connect to the Apple CarPlay here. You can see that these Recaro seats are heated seats, which is great. And although you do have some physical buttons on the side, most everything is done within this infotainment system. Again, the interior is made up of really nice quality materials for the segment and looks really good in this black and blue. We've got suede with blue stitching. Those Recaro seats with the WRX TS and Recaro on them. Nice big bolstering. That steering wheel with the blue stitching and the new 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster exclusive to this TS trim. It's crisp, looks good, and works flawlessly. And then obviously our 6-speed manual gear shifter here. Throws are really good, all nice, pull up and way over for reverse, which does give us a reverse camera, no 360, which is really not needed. And a traditional handbrake, no electronic handbrake here. And of course, with getting the TS, you have a delete for the sunroof, which helps save on weight and cost. All right, let's take this thing for a drive. On the road, this 2025 WRX TS delivers what you'd expect from something tuned by STI. Sharp response, confident grip, and just enough rawness to keep it fun without making it punishing. The 2.4-liter turbocharged boxer under the hood doesn't break new ground in terms of output, but it doesn't have to. The 271 horsepower and 285 pound-feet of torque are more than enough to make this compact sedan feel quick and responsive. Acceleration is strong, and turbo lag is basically a non-issue. Power delivery is smooth, and the car feels eager to go, especially in sport mode, where the dampers tighten up and everything gets a bit more serious. And that's really the magic of the TS, the electronically adjustable STI-tuned suspension with modes for comfort, normal, and sport. It adapts not just to your preference, but the road itself. In comfort, the ride is surprisingly forgiving, more so than you might expect for a performance WRX. Normal mode is a great all-rounder, and sport mode gives you that tight, connected feeling that turns a back road into your own personal rally stage. Cornering is predictable and planted with excellent feedback through the steering wheel. This car feels like it's communicating with you, not filtering everything through a layer of soft insulation. The all-wheel drive system keeps grip levels high and body roll is minimal. Even on the highway, it's stable and composed,
perfectly happy to cruise when you're not pushing it. The Brembo brakes with gold 6-piston fronts and 2-piston rears are a highlight. They offer immediate bite and excellent modulation, and they never feel like overkill for daily use. In fact, they just make you more confident when the pace picks up. There's more road noise here than your average commuter, but in this case it feels like a part of the experience. You're more connected to what's happening, more aware of the road, and that's what driving a WRX is supposed to be about. Moving on to some fuel economy numbers. Nobody's buying a WRX for fuel economy, but Subaru still managed to keep things reasonable. This TS trim is rated at 19 miles per gallon city, 26 miles per gallon highway, which is on par with other manual all-wheel drive sport sedans in this segment. In my time with the car, I saw numbers right around that ballpark. Solid for something with this much performance and grip. It's not exactly a gas sipper, but it's not guzzling either. If you're driving it like it wants to be driven, you won't mind stopping to fill up now and then.
All right, so the 2025 WRX TS starts at $44,215 with destination charge. You're looking at a total MSRP of about $45,000 or just over. That's not pocket change, but for what you're getting, it holds up. Compared to the 2024 WRX TR that I reviewed before, which was a bit more raw and stripped down, the TS adds creature comforts, advanced tech, and daily drivability without compromising on performance hardware. You still get the Brembo brakes, Recaro seats, and summer tires, but now they're paired with adjustable suspension, a digital gauge cluster, and Subaru's EyeSight driver assist. In a world where Civic Type Rs are pushing $45K, the GR Corollas are hard to find at MSRP, the WRX TS feels like a smart buy for enthusiasts who want real performance without sacrificing comfort or usability. And speaking of those rivals, let's talk about that Honda Civic Type R, MSRP around $45,000. The Civic Type R is the WRX most obvious performance rival. It makes more power at 315 horsepower and delivers sharper handling on the track, but it's front-wheel drive only and the ride is firmer than the TS. It also feels more serious and less livable day-to-day, so the WRX TS wins on all-weather usability and ride comfort, but if lap times are your only concern, the Type R has the edge. Now you also have the new Toyota GR Corolla to deal with. Its MSRP starts around $37,000 to $38,000, but again, it's hard to find at that price, hard to find period. But at that MSRP price, Toyota's all-wheel drive hot hatch undercuts the WRX TS on price and offers a wild 300 horsepower, 3-cylinder, with rally-bred baked in. It's smaller inside, harsher on longer drives, and far less refined in terms of tech and comfort. I haven't had one for a full review, but I've had a couple of opportunities to drive one at events, and it's a pretty amazing vehicle. Sounds really great. But the TS is more grown up, faster in a straight line, and more practical overall. Another competitor that I have driven and really like is the Elantra N. It has an MSRP of $34,000 to $35,000. The Elantra N is the budget king of this group with strong performance, a ruckus personality, and available dual clutch transmission. But it is front-wheel drive, less premium inside, and it doesn't offer all-wheel drive or the tuning pedigree of the WRX TS. The Subaru feels more polished, more usable year-round, and more mature, but I really do like that Elantra N. With all of that said, let's jump out and I'll give you some of my final thoughts. Would I buy the WRX? If I did buy the WRX, would I buy the TS? Let's wrap this thing up.
All right, so my final thoughts. The WRX we've grown into after 2 decades of watching, driving, and loving the WRX. This 2025 TS might just be the version that best balances what the car has always been about. Accessible performance, daily usability, and genuine fun behind the wheel. It's not the most extreme WRX. That still goes to the stripped down TR or those older STI models that we all still pine for.
but it's the one that makes the most sense today. You get real performance hardware, STI-tuned suspension, Brembo brakes, and that rally-bred spirit, but you also get a smoother ride, usable tech, and enough comfort to make your commute bearable. If you're a longtime WRX fan like me, the TS feels like the car built for where we're at now. We still want fun, we still want the connection, but we also want something that we can live with every day. And at just over 45K, this thing delivers. So is it the best WRX yet? That depends on what you're after. But for me, right now, this is the one I would buy. With that, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit the thumbs up button. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think about the Subaru WRX TS. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. We do a different review every week. Lots of great content out there, so be sure to subscribe. Also, go check out TXGarage.com, where we've got a lot of written reviews as well as event and news coverage from a lot of great authors over there, not just myself. TXGarage.com, really worth checking out. With that, that's all I got for this one. Thanks for watching.